Hello and welcome everyone to episode 7 of Monstrous, Myths, and Mayhem. I'm the host, Silver, and my co-host is...
Chaotic.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Grootslang. Have you heard much about this one?
No, I know Groot. I don't know what the Grootslang is, though.
I think Groot from the Marvels is probably going to be a little nicer than this monster.
Oh, lovely.
Well, the Grootslang is a South African monster. Creature cryptid. It's mainly a cryptid, but it adopted some into mythology. It is, as a little description of it, is a combination of snake and elephant. There's different descriptions of it. Some people have said that it has a body and head of an elephant with a snake's tail. Some say it's all snake with diamonds in the eyes, or gemstones for eyes. Others say it is a snake with an elephant's head, a long split jaw, and all these renditions usually have about 6 pairs of tusks. 6 pairs of tusks at minimum. And it's also between 40 and 60 foot long.
That sounds terrifying.
It is. I would say so.
Do you have a picture?
I do. See if I can pull up. We'll be posting the photos on the Discord too.
That's a no from me, dog. That one all black one looks majestic. The one to the right there? No, we were down when you went down over there. Right. Nope. Over. To the left. Left. Right there. That one. That one's good.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah. That one's cool looking, but the rest of them are absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a terrifying creature as well. Definitely terrifying. Especially with its intelligence. It is smart enough to outsmart the gods, which also terrified the gods. This creature is also as old as the world itself. They say that the gods first made it into being, and they decided it was too strong and it was too smart, with the elephant's strength and the snake's cunning. So they decided to split it apart. That's why we now have snakes and we now have elephants.
Thank God.
But one of these creatures escaped.
What?
Yes, it has escaped and is living in South Africa.
Oh my God. Excuse me?
They say that it is in... It makes its home in one of two places, possibly, that I've seen. In the Orange River, which I looked up the Orange River on Google Maps, and that river is 1,500 miles long. So
Holy crap.
It could be anywhere. Or it could be, most likely, they said, a place called the Wonder Hole, or a bottomless pit.
As it should be.
This pit is where they say there is a bunch of diamonds and gold. It's just a bunch of diamonds, gold, gemstones, just all inside this pit. This snake elephant, Grootslang, they say is extremely greedy. So it's like a dragon. It wants to grab all the gemstones and golds and bring it into its lair. It also will lure elephants into its hole, into the lake or into the cave where it dwells, and eat them. So it's big enough to eat an elephant. Would that be cannibalism since it's part elephant?
Maybe it's just half cannibalism?
Maybe half. Just a little bit of cannibalism.
Just a tad.
I've also seen descriptions of it that main description of it is boa. Like a boa body. Some I've seen said that it was cobra. It had a cobra's hood. Which could have been just the ears, I imagine. There is one thing as well. If you run into a Grootslang when you're in the woods, you must pull a Doctor Strange, because you can bargain with this creature. I've seen somewhere that it can speak telepathically to you.
That would be terrifying.
So just imagine you're in the middle of the cave and you just start hearing looking for diamonds, and you just start hearing a voice inside your head. Be a big nope for me. The bargaining chip, though, there's only one thing you can bargain with the Grootslang, and that is it might let you live if you give it all your precious gems, gold, and diamonds that you have on you. There's a couple little articles I read as well that said that the Grootslang is not the original Grootslang that the gods dealt with. This is an offspring of it. It might be that the Grootslang, this is my theory, is reproducing asexually, like there's a species of lizard in South America, Arizona, or New Mexico, Arizona area. They're called New Mexico whiptails. It's a female-only species, and they self-replicate.
Yeah, like
And
asexual, like they just self procreate.
yes, and their species is just all female species. So
I mean, terrifying females. I'm down. I'm interested. Let's go.
the oldest reported sighting of a Grootslang comes from rock paintings in South Africa that has yet to be dated. Let's say the first sighting started in 1867, date-wise, and then they continued on through the 1890s and up to 1963, when a newspaper began reporting sightings and sending the locals into a frenzy.
Has there been any recent sightings?
Most recent one I could see was in 1917. Well, the newspaper reported 1963 of sightings, but I couldn't find the newspaper articles about it. The only thing I could find story-wise, sightings that someone reported, was in 1917. A English businessman, Peter Grayson, disappeared after members of his party were attacked and injured by lions. He kept on exploring and was never heard from again. And it just kind of said that the Grootslang was the cause of it.
To see it in modern day would be crazy, but like the 1917s is like the most up to date you could find, like at all. You said
There were some articles in the paper in 1963. 1963 was when the local newspapers were reporting it, sightings of it, and making the locals go into a frenzy. But I couldn't find any copies of those papers. So that's like what? That's 50, 60 years ago, roughly?
yeah, that's still, I mean, recent enough that it could be something of interest to look for sometime.
Mm-hmm. If you ever want to go diamond mining, sure you'll run into it. I did see, yeah, South Africa is the largest diamond producer for the largest size. When I started looking up diamonds and such, it had like 10-inch diamonds. It was large.
That's a big ass diamond.
I think they hold the record so far for the world's largest diamond. That is all for the mayhem. Oh, not mayhem. We haven't got to the mayhem yet. That's all for the mythical and the little bit of mythics or the lore behind this cryptid and how it came to be. Now, for the fun part, let's roll on to the mayhem.
Let's go.
So mayhem wise, if we had, let's see, there still technically could be one around at this time being a cryptid. If they were more well spread out, like elephants, let's say, they're between 20, 40, 60 foot long, how much mayhem do you think they'll cause? And they're intelligent.
Is it going to stay in its native area? Like, do you think it would stay in Africa, or do you think it would travel like to the United States?
I say it's be smart. I would say it'd probably stick to Africa, where the elephants are. Maybe move over to Asia, India.
So, like, stay where the food source is.
Yeah. And it'd probably be smart enough not to replicate itself until the very end of its lifespan, so they keep its food source stable. Which, who knows how long they live. It's also super strong, so a lot of, maybe it chases people. Food's food.
I feel like this would be one of the few creatures that I indeed would not want to take part in destroying.
Because it's smart, or because it is an elephant snake hybrid?
Yes.
Just yes. I think it's got the potential to also cause a lot of damage property wise. If one of these somehow made its way into the city by mistake, like if, let's say, like if one of these Grootslangs could catch like a deer has chronic wasting disease, where it kind of zombifies and just does random stuff. One of these creatures catches this, it could go on a rampage through a city and possibly wreck pretty much everything before anything came to stop it.
There's not a single instance in which this creature is not terrifying that I feel like anything we could do would be effective. I mean, I guess if it's hide and skin is normal consistency to an elephant and snake, then it'd be a little easier to take care of, quote unquote. But it's got to be terrifying. Like the tail of a snake, like snakes curl you up and keep you there and then eat you. And then you've got an elephant doing that? No, thank you. No.
Yeah, depending on what type of snake it is, too, it could also spit venom. Like if it was part cobra, it would be able to spit venom.
No.
Cobra would be okay. Or not cobra. Boa would be okay then.
No.
Give this
None
thing...
of it. Imagine it being half anaconda. It's just like half the length of the world.
If it was cobra, it'd have a ranged weaponry.
What? What about a rattlesnake?
I think the sound alone from its tail would just rattle you to your bones.
I'd be done. I'd be like, all right, I'm out. I'm done with life. Let's go. It's time to leave.
I'd imagine it'd probably be somewhere close to like one of those big helicopters flying over near you, one of those dual propeller. It's just that sound almost. Or 1,000 maracas. Whilst doing research for this episode as well, I like to look through podcasts and stuff that people's already done podcasts. A lot of them had similar topic discussions about it. Being a cryptid, there's a lot more than mythical monsters I've seen. The one podcast that stood out to me was Monster Smash League. It pits two monsters against each other in Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
And they go over it like they're big announcers, which was fun to listen to. And they had surprisingly, they had the Grootslang against a monster called the Gasha Dokuro, which is a Japanese undead immortal skeleton. And it was a good battle from how they announced it. They had all the abilities and stuff of both monsters, and surprisingly enough, I don't really want to spoil it, but skip ahead a couple seconds. The Grootslang actually won because of its intelligence, even though his opponent was immortal.
That would be a hell of a... I'll have to listen. I don't think I've actually ever listened. I'm not an actual podcast listener, which is terrible coming from a podcast creator, but I need to sit down and listen to some of these because it'd be very interesting. And it'd be something to do when I'm in the middle of momming. You know, I've got a lot going on. I can put it in my ears.
I recommend this one. They only got on 7 episodes on Spotify right now. But one of them is like a Baba Yaga versus Rangda. I gotta catch up on them. I haven't gone through them, but they're all fairly good episodes from what I've heard. We're not sponsored by them. I just found them and a little bit of shout out for them. It was interesting.
Do you think this would be one that we like involve military with?
Oh yeah. If it was I'd say we would if it's in a civilized area. But if it's out in the plains,
but if it's in the wild, right?
Yeah, because it's just a big snake. I think big 40-foot snake, 3 foot in diameter or so, elephant sized. I would imagine could communicate telepathically, and you could bargain with it with diamonds and gems. I think the government would probably do that because the government would probably want this thing on their side in times of conflict, possibly. If they can deal with it, make a deal that way. Let's make a deal. Giant Snake Edition. Imagine also since we can make gemstones as well now.
Right. So we'd be able to like make the lures.
Yeah. Lures, bargaining material. We can just give them unlimited amounts of.
Do you think this would be something we could like essentially like capture and keep protected? Or do you think it's too wild to do that?
I think we probably could keep it captured. I don't think it'll like us capturing it.
I mean, probably not. You know, like Jurassic Park taught us a lot of things. I feel like that'd be a very similar instance. But I was just curious because with something that rare and that you just hate to see it get exterminated. Like extinction is never fun. So I didn't know if we'd be able to and you said they like asexually procreate. So who knows if there's any more in the last, 50 some years of since it's last been seen.
No, it's very good at hiding. If it escaped the gods during their first creation and disassembly, I imagine.
I don't know. Gods were a little questionable, but it's fine.
Yeah.
as per last episode or 2 episodes ago.
Last episode's Hercules,
Okay,
Hydra.
yeah. I wasn't sure what order we were in yet. Kazuma from my Kazuma from my stream that came in and told us that he loved him or whatever.
Yeah.
He like showed me this entire game called Fate that has a lot of them like animeized, and there was a Saint Martha that uses the Terrast as her ability. It was pretty cool.
I also seen a game called Smite that also has a lot of the deities and
Connor
stuff
used
on
to
it.
play Smite. Yeah, it was a mobile game.
There's only two areas where I found three areas where I found the Grootslang in media. The first one was Final Fantasy had the Grootslang as just a snake. The second one, the Grootslang, was in D&D 3.5 Pathfinder's edition.
Ooh.
I don't know Pathfinder and D&D are not the same thing. So don't yell at me, Pathfinder fans. But the third and last area where the Grootslang appeared was in an episode of The Secret Saturdays on Cartoon Network. I don't know if you remember The Secret Saturdays. Might not have been your style TV back in the day.
No, not so much. I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! That was about as crazy as I was allowed to get.
This was just a cartoon on Cartoon Network around the 2000s era, late 2000s. But it was this boy and his parents were cryptozoologists, and he gained the power to control cryptids, and a bunch of stuff happened, and he had to save the cryptids in the world a couple times, as Cartoon Network shows go.
What is the show called?
Secret Saturdays.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I feel like I should.
They had a monitor lizard as a pet, and like a Bigfoot creature.
I feel like I saw like the commercials and stuff for it, but I never watched. I was more of a Disney person. I watched Courage the Cowardly Dog, and it gave me enough nightmares. So like Cartoon Network was hit or miss with me.
Courage was a good show, even though.
Can we talk about Courage's mythologies it included, though? Like he actually did have some crazy mythologies and legends in that.
We can imagine we'll get to that episode eventually. Doing these one a week, we'll go through them pretty quickly. Yeah, but there's plenty of them out there. Guess that's all for the Mayhem and the little bit of media we added there at the end. That's all I can think of, unless you got any more Mayhem or media to add on to.
I don't think so. When I start to think about it, it's one of those ones that are terrifying. Like, all the other ones I've been apt to like be like, ooh, I'd like to be involved or like see what the military is going to do. Or that one I would solely leave to the professionals to either save, kill, or capture because I'm good. I'm good.
I imagine just anybody that's terrified of snakes would just be on their toes. But you'd at least hear it coming, I'd imagine. The snakes are pretty silent. But probably not.
Join us again next Monday for another episode of Monstrous, Myth, and Mayhem, where Silver and Chaotic talk about how they came to be and how they would be received in modern-day society. Follow, like, and subscribe to support. Also find us on Twitter and Discord with the links below to keep up to date with the newest merch and activity. Besides, who knows what mayhem we will get into next time.
Hello and welcome everybody to episode 7 of the brain
Try
fart.
again.
Yeah.
Of some podcast.
Yep. I'm gonna be the it's one of those days.
It's one of those days. This is gonna be one of those episodes. It's fine.
Yeah. I wonder how a Grootslang would taste. Snaky, probably.
What?
How it would
What'd
taste.
you just say?
It'd probably taste like snakes. Grootslang.
Have you ever had snake and elephant?
No?
I'm saying it's gonna taste tough because it's probably pretty old.